Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, Text number 3. Društva Papi Yashim Shrishtim Društva Papi Yashim Shrishtim Na Atmanam Bahu Amanyata Natmanam Bahu Amanyata Bhagavad Dhyana Putena Bhagavad Dhyana Putena Manasa Anyam Tataha Ashrajat Manasanyam Tato Ashrajat Društva Papi Yashim Shrishtim Natmanam Bahu Amanyata Bhagavad Dhyana Putena Manasa Anyam Tato Ashrajat Društva Papi Yashim Shrishtim Natmanam Bahu Amanyata Bhagavad Dhyana Putena Manasanyam Tato Ashrajat. Društva, by seeing, Papi Yashim, sinful, Shrishtim, creation, Na, did not, Atmanam, unto himself, Bahu, much pleasure, Amanyata, felt, Bhagavad, seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity. And therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Please repeat the translation. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although he created the different influence of nations, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. But he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be so. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he is present in everyone's heart and is helping everyone to either remember or forget. The question may be raised why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity as part and parcel of the Lord is partially independent because he partially possesses all the qualities of the Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down through nescience, the all-merciful Lord first of all tries to protect him from the trap. But when the living entity persists in gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Almost all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world are misusing their independence, and therefore 5 kinds of nescience are imposed upon them. As an obedient servitor of the Lord, Brahma creates all these as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so because a devotee of the Lord naturally does not like to see anyone falling down from his real position. Persons who do not care for the path of realization but get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities to the fullest extent, and Brahma helps in that procedure without fail. Doesn't see Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, in the last verse we saw Brahma created 5 kinds of nescience. But is he happy after creating these 5 kinds of nescience? So what did he do to come out of this conception or mentality of this nescience? So that is what stated in this verse here. Društva papiyashim srushtim. So whatever he has created, društva, after visualizing, papiyashim, that activity to be a sinful activity, na atmanam bahu amanyata. He did not take pleasure in whatever he has created. He himself was feeling that it is not a good job what he had done. Na atmanam bahu amanyata. He is not satisfied in his work. So to come out of that mentality, manasam bhagavad dhyana putena. That mentality has to be purified means he had to engage in devotional service of the Lord. Bhagavad dhyana, meditation on the Lord. Bhagavad dhyana putena. Then he became purified. Manasa, his mind became purified. Because if mind is not purified, if you keep continuing in the activities, that past remembrances will disturb you for the future activities. So mind has to be cleansed off. Then anyam tato ashrujat. Then he started another term of creation, so that the past impact will not be there on the future work. So this is what Brahma had done when he was not satisfied. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains, why did Brahma perform this thankless task of creating 5 kinds of nescience? Because the most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be. Because they wanted to be under illusion, Brahma is creating the facility to become under illusion, to come under illusion. Then why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and others to forget? Is Lord not equal to anyone and everyone? Is Lord showing partiality to some people? No, it is the Jiva. According to his desire, Lord is facilitating. As because he is there as Paramatma and everyone's heart, either knowledge or forgetfulness, both come from the Lord. Prabhupada referred 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivisto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. The smritihi or apohanam, both are provided by the Lord, as desired by the living entity. If living entity wants to remember the Lord, Lord will provide him more opportunity in means and ways how to remember. And if living entity wants to forget, Lord will create a situation where he will not remember about the Lord. So when he doesn't remember about the Lord, what is that status? He is falling down into Adanta Gobir, that Patanti Adanti Gobir. He is falling down into deepest form of ignorance. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point just to give him a chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Because everybody has got that minute independence, and Lord respects the free will or independence of everyone. So if you misuse, we are responsible for it. And is Brahma happy in creating all this? As an obedient servitor, Brahma creates as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so. He is not happy, but as a matter of duty, he has to create all these events. Persons who do not care for self-realization to get full facilities from the Lord for executing their peculiarities to the fullest extent, Brahma helps in that procedure without fail. If somebody doesn't want, Brahma is creating all the facilities so that the jiva can exploit to the fullest extent in this material world. So in one more place in Bhagavatam, what is his purpose of meditation? Like we saw, when Brahma wanted to cleanse himself, he underwent into meditation. A similar perspective is explained. It says, Etad Rupam Anudhyayam. The form, whatever one experiences, one has connected with the Lord. Anudhyayam, by constant meditation. Atma Shuddhim Abhipsatam. One experiences a complete purification. Atma Shuddhim. The soul, in the form of mind and intelligence, both experiences a cleanliness, purification. Yad Bhakti Yoga Abhyadaha. That is, by engaging in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. Swadharmam Anutishtatam. For those who are interested in following the occupational duties, Swadharmam Anutishtatam, without fail, by engaging in devotional service, and who wants to become free from fear. Abhayadaha, to become free from fear, then this is the only process of Yad Bhakti Yoga. Only by engaging in devotional service, we become purified of our intelligence and mind, then we become free from fear, then we will be able to execute our regular duties also very perfectly. So, I was trying to correlate how things happen in Vedic scriptures time. Just trying to contemplate on the subject. I just read one point somewhere. How different people come under illusion. One example is, who is that lady who spoiled the brain of Kaikeyi? Mantara. What is her problem with Ramachandra? She became envious. As soon as she heard about Ramachandra becoming the king, she became very envious. So what was her problem with Ramachandra? So Acharyas explain, when Ramachandra was a small boy, so everybody wanted to take him into their hands and everybody wanted to cuddle with, to play with the small boys, small children. So being the most attractive among the four brothers, so everybody were going only to Ramachandra. So even Kaikeyi was taking care of Ramachandra. Entire Ramachandra's childhood was grown in Kaikeyi's place only. And she is the main maid servant of Kaikeyi. So whenever she used to come and she extended her hand, Ramachandra used to turn her face aside. And if she wanted to lift him, he used to kick with his legs, so that he doesn't want to go to negative people. Ramachandra is smart enough from his childhood. He knows whom to go, whom not to go. So in that way, because of being continuously being neglected by Ramachandra from his childhood, she developed an attitude of enviousness and negativity towards the Lord. That was growing as the age grows. So then, how this became purified? How she came out of that conception? Now, her Maya, whatever that ignorance, whatever she has gone in through about position of Ramachandra, she went and contaminated Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi, till then she was treating Lord Ramachandra as her own son. Because when Kaikeyi was married, Kaikeyi has condition on one condition on which Kaikeyi was married was, Kaikeyi, the children, because first wife already had no children, second wife has no children, third wife, she is going to be third wife, on one condition, if my son comes, her son comes, he has to be made the king. Or else tomorrow, whoever has the son, she will be treated, then my daughter will not be given that consideration. So Ashwapati Raja, who was father of Kaikeyi, he put this condition. The son of my daughter should be the king of the state. But actually Lord Ramachandra came first. So again Kaushalya became superior. So, but not considering all these aspects, because the boon was given that her son has to be made the king, she treated Ramachandra as her own son. So, she never discriminated. She is my stepwife's son and Bharata is my son. She was more close to Ramachandra, and Ramachandra was more affectionate to Kaikeyi. But the small bad association, she came under illusion again. And she lost all her love, faith, all the positive things she lost. She became so crazy that she wanted to send Ramachandra out of the country. Two conditions she had put forward. Bharata should become the king and Ramachandra should be banished for 14 years. So why she thought? Because if Rama is here, all the people will revolt and Bharata will not be able to rule properly. And 14 years is a considerable time where Bharata could rule properly and he can gain public confidence. And tomorrow if Ramachandra comes back also, public will vote only for Bharata because of his able administration. She was thinking in that, see how when one comes under ignorance, Maya, how his thoughts will be. And Dasharatha Maharaj, he wanted to beg at her feet and fall down and request her not to do all these things and all. But in ignorance, they don't listen. You get to give good guidance, they are not ready to listen. And she is ready to sacrifice her own life. Dasharatha Maharaj says, if Ramachandra goes out, I am ready to die. It didn't matter for her. She did not give value for another's life. A similar, how she had got her that mentality is explained in Ramayana. It says she got her mentality from her mother. Ashwapati Raja, he had one boon from a sage that he will be able to hear any other living entity speak. Means any insects or anything, he will be able to listen to their language. So he instructed him not to inform anybody about this opportunity. If he informs, it will be very harmful for him. So one day he and his queen were there in the bedroom. So there was one small lizard or something which was there in the room, and he started making some joke. So Ashwapati Raja heard that and he started laughing. So wife asked him, why are you laughing for without any reason? He said, no, I remembered something. No, I know you have lost your love for me, so that's why you are not revealing me all this information. All serial style of drama. She started. Daily soap, this is called as daily soap, they will extend it. No, he said, no, I can't reveal all this information. No, I want you to reveal. Or else, I think that you have lost your love for me. She started threatening. So next day he went to that Rishi and again asked him, sir, my dear sir, my wife is putting pressure on me. Unless I reveal that information, she is not asking me to associate with her also. Now what should I do? He said, if you reveal that information, you will die. So then next day when he came there, wife was saying, what happened? Why you are not revealing that information? What made you laugh? He said, no, I cannot reveal this information. If I reveal that, I will die. The wife said, anyhow, today or tomorrow you will die. Better reveal that and die. See, that's why she did not value her husband's life. And this is first instance in Ramayana where he says, I don't want you, I will divorce you. One who doesn't value her husband's life, why I should have you? He said, I will discard you. Very rare you come across these situations in Vedic scriptures where somebody is discarded because their mentality is not correct. If you keep them, they will be like a snake next to you. At any moment, they will bite you. So like that mentality was same absorbed in Kaikeyi. When Dasharatha Maharaj was falling at her feet and asking her for forgiveness and asking her to reverse that vows, she is not ready. Anything happened to you, I don't banter. My son has to become the king. See, under illusion, how one loses his sense of discrimination. Similarly, then further, how they were brought back. When Rama was sent back, when Bharata came back, when Bharata was informed that Mantara was the cause of the situation, Shatrughna came, dragged that Mantara, and he gave left and right bashing to Mantara. He did not treat her as a lady also. He wanted to kill her and finish that situation there. And then he brought her, dragged in front of Bharata, and Bharata to explain to him that she is the lady. Because of her, Ramachandra was sent out. And she spoiled the mind of Kaikeyi. Bharata said, I don't treat you as my mother to Kaikeyi. The whole endeavor to pacify, to make King Bharata as a king, backfired upon her. Bharata himself treated, I don't treat you as a servant also. Like, he thought, you are no more my mother, I don't treat you as a woman at all. Like that, many ways he put down the position of Kaikeyi. Then Kaikeyi came to senses. Then she started begging and she started clarifying why, like Shishi Radha Govindaki, why she had to do all these endeavors, is to bring you to the position, all these things. But Bharata said, why did I ask you? Did I ask you to do all these things and all? Who wants this kingdom? I am a servant of Ramachandra. I don't want to be master of Ramachandra. I am clear in my mentality. Like that, Bharata gave in verbal bashing and physical bashing to Mantara. Then both of them came to their senses. Then both of them begged forgiveness, and they said, please give an opportunity for us to reform. So, only when hard circumstances come, people will be difficult for them to come out of this ignorance or that Maya situation. It's not easy to come out of Maya. A situation has to be there in such a way that introspection has to happen on us. Or else we take it for granted and we will go further in the same direction without any further thoughts. We are lost in that direction, we think, okay, further, let us go more deeper into that direction. That introspection comes only when spiritually enlightened people come and give us a bashing. Okay, further. Then a couple of people who also had that illusion is Ravana. Surpanaka came and glorified Sita's beauty. Ravana became infatuated. He wanted to possess at any cost Sita. Then his assistant Alambana was there. There one more demon who is a commander-in-chief. Then he also explained about the beauty of Sita. And he gave a means how to conquer Ramachandra. He said, the only way to conquer Ramachandra is you kidnap Sita Devi. When Sita is not there, Ramachandra will become weakened, and then it is easy for you to conquer Ramachandra, or he himself will die out of separation from his wife. So he became very happy. Then he thought, let me do this proposal easily. So let me go and take help of Marichi. Marichi was doing tapasya, becoming a sannyasi in Gokarna. Ravana came to Gokarna, met Marichi, and he had asked him, please help me in this endeavor. Then Marichi said, whoever has given you this idea, he is your worst enemy. You don't know the capacity of Ramachandra. With one arrow, he shot me 200 yojanas far. And you are thinking you will be conquered, you can conquer Ramachandra. You don't think like a mere mortal man, he is a supreme lord, and he glorifies Ramachandra's position. And he says one more time, I went with 3 more demons. I got some boons and I became very proud, and I went in front of Ramachandra. With one arrow, he killed all the other my associates, and I was left alone there. I was spared to my life so that I came back to my senses. I said, never ever I will come into this Rakshasa behavior. I left everything and came here, and I am doing sannyasa. Now you are asking to come and again help me. This is not a very good idea. But Ravana, he became little convinced, but again when he went back, the thoughts lingered him. The lusty thoughts took over him. At any cost, I want to have Sita Devi. Again he came back to Marichi and he said, you have to come and help me. Marichi said, I will not be able to help you. Then he said, I am going to kill you right now if you don't help me. Then Marichi thought it is better to die in the hands of Ramachandra, a great person, than die in the hands of the sinful person and go to hell. If I die in hands of Ramachandra, I will go to heaven. But at least if I die here, assured confirmation in hell. So then he thought better die in the hands of Ramachandra, and he came to hell. See how ignorance? Lust entrapped into ignorance. Greediness entrapped into ignorance, into Kaikeyi. Enviousness entrapped into ignorance, into Mantara. So all these things we have to be very careful. Then one more incident. Sita Devi. When she saw that golden deer, she also came in a moment of illusion. She wanted to possess, because that was never heard, never seen creature. She wanted to keep it as a pet. And she wanted to take back and show to the Ayodhyavasis what they had found in the forest. Then if she was not able to physically get that object, she said at least kill it and use that skin. So when she came under illusion, Ramachandra further came into illusion, thinking that deer is a real entity. Lakshmana warned them, there is never that creature we have heard in the scriptures. Then how come it is existing? It should not be a real personality, it should be a Mayavi personality. And this area is infested with all these Rakshasas. And any chance they could have taken this form to divert us from the situation. Ramachandra said, first time my wife asked something, and if I don't give back, I will not be able to satisfy my wife. Let me go and endeavor in bringing that living Jinka to Sita Devi. So that illusion of Sita Devi caused the entire Ramayana episode. Okay, this is the purpose for which Lord Ramachandra had come to kill Ravana. But still, the living entity, the nature of general living entity, when you see something fascinating, we become attracted, we become entrapped. So similarly, a living entity becomes attracted to the illusory objects of material enjoyment. And this attraction keeps us in this material world, which is represented like Lanka. Just as Sita suffered in Lanka in the company of the Rakshasas, we suffer in this material world, which are derived from our own sinful tendencies and both Adhyatmic, Adibhautik and Adidevik kleshas and all, we suffer in this world. Then, similarly, Lord Ramachandra is lamenting for Sita. So Lord is lamenting for all the living entities who are struggling in this material world, because he is the most compassionate person. And since the living entities, when they desire, sincerely desire to come in contact with the Lord, like Sita Devi, she was constantly remembering of Ramachandra. So seeing the situation, Hanuman was sent to pacify her. So Lord, being compassionate, will send the spiritual master to pacify us. So how did Hanuman pacify Sita Devi? He glorified Ramachandra. He sang the glories of Ramachandra, story of Ramachandra. So similarly, the pure devotees will come, they glorify the Supreme Lord, they give us the opportunity to hear about the Supreme Lord. So all the fire which is there within us can be pacified when we hear about through the glories, through the mouth of the pure devotees. So then Lord Ramachandra comes forward with his entire army to defeat all the unnecessary things and to reclaim Sita Devi. Similarly, in the association of pure devotees, when we practice this devotional service sincerely, seriously, Lord is ready to come and take us back home, back to Godhead. See, everything has a correlation with our life, what we are supposed to do. Generally, we see that is a story not connected with my life. That is a story for you to practice. There is a perception where you will be able to relate with all the subjects. What we are supposed to do, what we are supposed to train is the entire stories. Why this Ramayana, Mahabharata? They are all there for us to learn, to absorb and to implement. We have models, idols. Indian idol, some idol, all these things and all. Why? We try to imitate them. We try to take their, inspiration from them. These are the real characters to whom we have to take inspiration from. Their inspiration will only lead us to further more entanglement. So real inspiration comes when we get in touch with pure devotees. They will deliver us from the cycle of birth and death. So Ramayana, in Bhagavatam, there are only 2 chapters mentioned for Ramachandra, because already everybody have described about Ramayana. Sukadeva Goswami says, I will give only in glimpse. So the glory of hearing Ramalila, Sukadeva Goswami says, Purusho Ramacharitam Shavaner Upadarayan Anurshamyasya Parorajan Karma Bander Vimuchyate. So Purusha Shravaner Upadharayan, one who sincerely hears oral reception of what? Ramacharitam, the pastimes and characteristics of Lord Ramachandra, ones who sincerely give oral reception. Then Anarsamya Paraha, he becomes ultimately freed from the disease of enviousness. Because that is the root for which a living entity is bound in this material world. So by hearing pastimes of the Lord submissively, one becomes free from this envy, and karma bandher vimuchyate, becomes liberated from the bondage of all these fruitive activities. So why these pastimes are narrated? To make us liberated from this cycle of birth and death. Then further, what was the situation when Ramachandra was ruling? How people were feeling? Tretayam vartamanayam kala krita samobhavat, means when Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga. But that kala was like Kruta Samaha, like Satyuga it was. Rame Rajani Dharmagne Sarva Bhuta Sukha Ahave. Because Lord Ramachandra was ruling, Sarva Bhuta Sukha Ahave. Everybody were having very happy. They are very contented in their life. Satisfied with whatever they have. Sukha Ahave. Because of Dharmajnaha, because of the principles of Lord Ramachandra as a strict administrator, everybody was very happy. Then, Vanani Nadayo Giriyo Varshani Deepa Sindavaha. All the forests, rivers, mountains, then the states, 7 islands and 7 seas, everything, Sarve Kama Duga Asan, everything produced in abundance. Prajanam Bharata Rishabha, all the people were very much satisfied because everything was in abundance. You did not hanker for something because everything was profuse. Further, Nadi Vyadi Jara Glani Dukkha Shoka Bayaklamaha. Adi Vyadi Jara Glani. There is no old age, there is no disease, there is no disturbance, there is no death. Dukkha, no, there is no unhappiness, shoka, maros, baya, fear, klamaha, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear and fatigue were completely absent. And mrityus cha anistam nashid. If somebody doesn't want to die, he could stay forever. Mrityu cha anistam. If you are not interested in mrityu, you can live forever. Rama Rajani Adokshaja, when somebody is living in the Rama Raj. Even death they can avoid if they don't want. So that was the situation. And finally he ends with ideal qualities of Lord Ramachandra. He says, Ekapatni Vrato Daraha. He maintained that Ekapatni Vrataha. Rajarishi Charitaha Suchihi. He is like a Rajarishi, a king, but of a great saintly character. Charitaha, his character was very clean, without any spot of any material tinge. Suchihi, perfect personality. Swadharmam Gruhamediyam, to teach principles to the householders. So he practiced a principles so that other householders can set him as an example. Sikshayan Swayam Acharet, he himself implemented that principles so that he is teaching to the whole world how a responsibility of a married husband should be. How he has to lead his life. How Grihastha Dharma has to be practiced. All that examples were taught by Lord Ramachandra by his own personal example. Then, ideal qualities of Sita Devi, further it says, Premanu Vrutya Shilena, by love, devotion and faith and by her character. Prashraya Avanata Sati, she is very submissive. Sati, very faithful. Biya Hriya Cha Bhavajnaha, shy, chaste and always understanding the attitude of her husband. Sita Devi was serving Ramachandra. Bhartuhu Sita Aharan Manaha, and she captured her husband's mind by her behavior. So in that way, Sita Devi was an ideal lady for people to follow. How a woman has to serve her husband. And Ramachandra is an ideal husband for others to follow how they have to treat their wife. So in this way, we come across all these ideal personalities. Now how to understand ideal servant? Further, Lord, this glorifies about Hanuman. He glorifies in a verse. He says, Na janma noonam mahato na shaubagam, na van na buddhir na kritis tosha hetuhu, teryad vishrishtan apino vinaukashas, chakara sakye bata lakshmanagrajaha. He says, just by one's birth in an aristocratic family, na janmaha, not na akritihi by their personal beauty, na vak, not by their eloquence of speaking, na buddhihi by their one's sharp intelligence, na shaubagam by one's superior race or nation. One cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Mahataha on the basis of material qualities. Material qualities are not the consideration for us to have a friendship with Lord Ramachandra. Tosha heturter yad vishrushta. None of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with Lord Ramachandra. Apinaha, otherwise, Vanaukashaha, how it is possible for those who stay in the forest, Vanaukashaha, monkeys who stay in the forest, with no noble birth, no physical beauty, no education like a gentleman, Lakshmana Agrajaha, like Lord Ramachandra, Bata Chakara Sakye, treated them as his friends. He gave more importance to these monkeys. His entire army was monkeys. He gave them the friendship level. They are no birth, monkeys not beauty, no education properly. But what was their qualification? So that qualification is devotional service. Because of their sincere devotional service, they wanted to serve the Lord till their last moment of their life. Lord gave them the opportunity. So in that purport, Prabhupada explains about devotional perspective. He says, a similar prayer is expressed by Kunti Devi. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, like that only one verse is there. Janmaishwarya Shrutashrebir, Edamana Madahpuman. All these qualifications will make us madaha, intoxicant, proud. And that prideness will lead us to go away from the Supreme Lord. So one who possesses all these material qualities is expected to become a devotee. And when he actually does, the qualities are properly utilized. So whatever qualifications we get, if they are utilized in the service of the Lord, the qualities have become justified for that use. Or else, those who are puffed up by high birth, wealth, education and personal beauty, unfortunately do not care for developing Krishna consciousness, or nor does the Supreme Lord care about these material qualifications. We may have these material qualifications and Lord is least concerned of material qualifications. One's devotion and sincere desire to serve the Lord are the only qualification to approach the Lord. Devotion and sincere desire. Now, how do we develop the desire? Rupa Goswami says, the price for achieving God's favor is simply one's eagerness to have it. Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. That is the only price if one wants to attain the mercy of the Lord, the attention of the Lord. The conclusion is that one cannot attain shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Goshani through material opulence. That shelter is attainable only by pure devotion service. Only by bhakti one can go back home, back to Godhead, and not by any other means. In 4 slokas in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says, only by bhakti you can achieve. The concluding 18th chapter also says, Bhaktyamam abhijanati, only by bhakti you can understand me. Tatomam tatvato jnatva vishate danantaram. Once you quit this body, you will be able to come only by devotional service. Like that in other chapters also, he had already given that importance of bhakti devotional service. So from their life, from their perspective, we have been given an opportunity to understand, to practice, to implement in the form of guidance through Prabhupada, that we become reformed in our endeavor. Our character has to be reformed, because now our character is contaminated. Because of that envious attitude towards the Supreme Lord, we have lost our character. So that thing has to be revived. We have to come back to the proper stage of the spirit soul, then engage in devotional service in a proper mode. Then there is every chance that we go back home, back to Godhead in this very life itself. So that sincerity, seriousness depends upon us. So I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, it becomes a very thin line in the difference between a Mayavadi philosophy, how they take out or they divert the attention of the common people from the Vaishnava philosophy to the Mayavad, and they build their own philosophy on top of it. The example when you have told the entire narration that Rama came under illusion. Further, you have told that Rama came under illusion because it was his Leela and then he did it. But without going further and learning from Acharyas, if we just understand this line and then a Mayavadi is sitting and then he will think that, oh, Rama came under illusion and then he was a normal man and then he does not understand because of his own creation he came under Maya and then this was his Leela. So it becomes a very thin line to understand and very easy for a common man who does not take shelter of the pure devotee or the pure philosophy to get more into Mayavada philosophy. So why there is a very thin line gap between Vaishnava philosophy and, I mean, you can quickly jump from this to that.
There is only one philosophy, Vaishnava philosophy. Everything is an interpretation only. Because when Krishna said 9.11, Avajananti ma muda manushim tanumashritam. When I come here, they clearly think that I am a human being. Because Lord has come as a human being just because Ravana had a boon that he cannot be killed nobody than a human being. To satisfy that boon of Ravana, Lord came as a human being and he did not exhibit his supernatural power commonly. Like Krishna, every time he exhibited his supernatural power. From his childhood he has been exhibiting. But Lord Ramachandra did not exhibit all these things and all because people have to, because that scripture says that he came as a normal human being. And that philosophy, that what happens, the consequences of coming under illusion. How Ramachandra had to go fight, struggle for that 1 year to find Sita, feeling that separation, all these things and all. So that is how that is a Lord that he is experiencing that viraha bhava. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing the love of separation. Lord Ramachandra was also experiencing that love of separation. The entire episode of Ramayana is to kill Ravana. So if Kaikeyi is not come under illusion, Ramayana could not have happened at all. If Kaikeyi is very good lady and Rama became the king, then where is the opportunity for Ravana to kidnap Sita? All these things would not have happened. Some of the Acharyas, our Vaishnava Acharyas, they have commented, Lord Ramachandra went to Kaikeyi and requested her to act in such a way so that he will be sent out of the house. There is nobody who is capable of sending out of Ramachandra from his house. Only Kaikeyi could do that. She sacrificed her own career, getting scolding from everyone to satisfy the mission of the Lord. So that is also in one perspective we can understand, because if she is not a pure devotee, how can she get associated with Lord Ramachandra? Understood? And this Mantara, she is deputed by the demigods to execute this task of mission of Lord Ramachandra. So everybody are playing their role in that specific duty. So Mayavadis can tweak anything, everything they wanted to tweak, and Lord Ramachandra also acts in such a way because they wanted to forget about the Lord and Lord is giving them an opportunity to forget. They want to go more under illusion, Lord is making them more illused. Like yesterday's class or somewhere that Prabhupada was mentioning that Krishna had left his body. MPP, he was mentioning something like that, no? Krishna had left his body to make fool people furthermore. Like on April 1st, we all become fools. So it's a fool's day. So like that, wholesale fool's day, Krishna had made everyone when he left his body, which is like material body looks like. So like that. So because Mayavadi is a temporary philosophy, it is not the permanent thing. Shankaracharya himself had not followed that principle, what he had preached. Finally, what was his conclusion in his philosophy? Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam Modamate. Oh foolish people, chant the holy name of Govinda. Only the Govinda name will you protect you at the last moment of your life. Nahi nahi rakshati dukran karne. So when that instruction of the master who is leading that, if they have not followed, what to speak? We can't do anything. And if it is something abnormal, people will not be able to relate. They think it's all magic. So Lord had to do in such a way that it looks like common activities. That fine line, what you are saying, if it is something abnormal, you will not be able to relate, because he says something, he is not a human being at all, you say. He is something else. So being a human being, he has to maintain that normal line. And he is teaching us also, do not become too much attached to wife. It can create further more problems. Okay, after 2 days you will hear in Prabhupada's lecture. The same mentality, what we are not supposed to learn from that pastime. So more details like we can understand in a separate way, because there is a limitation in communication. Because Mayavadi philosophy is such a way that it is a very broad subject. Every point you bring out, they try to tweak that point. Because the first point is they are envious of the Lord. They are envious of the form. Because if there is a form, there is activity, there is other things. Because everything they have experienced in this world, they are correlating to the next world. Like one example they give, if you give cat 3 days continuously hot milk, and every time it puts its tongue, the milk will burn its tongue. 4th day, you give cold milk, it will say that milk will burn me. Because of its past experience, it will not drink milk at all. So we have become like that now. We have burnt our hands, legs, everything and all. Now we are thinking anything, oh, it will burn me, better let it not go at all. So this attitude is very dangerous for us. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి